After experiencing a tumultuous early childhood, Travis Waters turned all of his energy to one of the few things he knew he can count on, which was basketball. But after a promising start to a promising career, his life took a fateful and tragic turn that led to a life of crime and drug smuggling for the Escobar cartel. He joins us today to talk about how we can start the conversation about drugs, alcohol, tobacco with our own kids. And good to have you with us today, Travis.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Tell us a little bit about your story and what was that decision that really turned your life around in the wrong direction?
It all started in 1985. Had scholarships, All-American Kid. Passed a law in 1985 about missing too many days to graduate, and I wasn't going to go to summer school. Just like all kids, you're influenced by other kids with money and peer pressure. And next thing you know, I threw it all away and started moving a little bit of drugs. And next thing you know, I'm bringing my own 10,000-pound load for the cartels and never looked back.
Wow.
It's one wrong decision.
So
my whole life.
The fact that you just said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to punt the scholarships. I'm not going to summer school. I'm just going to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's all about money, you know, and as you're a kid, you see that with older kids having it, and you're influenced, just like a lot of kids that do that.
Yeah.
Well, did you have this foundation, you know, in your life that could have helped you or steered you clear of that?
Yeah, I had a great family. You know, drugs doesn't discriminate. You know, you see it, you like in the inner cities, you see it with kids, and they're influenced. And that's what, you know, I saw it, and I thought that it was cool. And you just make one wrong mistake, and it follows you the rest of your life and destroys your life. There's no positive that comes from it.
Obviously, it's not a matter of race or even economic status or geographical location. It is pervasive and everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, that led to some prison time for you as well?
Yes, I had 23 years federal and state prison. Yep.
Wow.
Served 6 years, 10 days.
And just so we can kind of close the loop on your story and then get to really some of the great content in the book about how to talk to our own kids about these issues, what was it that turned your life back around the right direction?
After one of my beatings in prison, I was laying on my bed, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't cough. I said, and my faith got me through it, because when you're in prison, that's the only thing you have left is your faith, because everything's taken from you. After one of my beatings, I said, if I make it out of here alive, I'll do everything I can to turn my life around to help kids, and so they don't go down the same road and go through this tragic that I'm going through, this tragedy.
Well, while you were in prison, when did you have that come to Jesus moment? I mean, were you...
Well, I've always had my faith.
Okay.
But after going through some of the darkest times, I just gave up on my faith, because I didn't believe anything after a while in the bizarre world I was going through. And then I found my faith again and believed, and you know, you ask and it will be given to you. And I prayed a lot. I prayed a lot just to survive, to be alive, you know, to be here today.
Now, when it comes to talking with our own kids, or maybe not your own natural children, but you know, in the extended family, kids in your neighborhood, whatever it may be, about the perils, the pitfalls, the dangers of drugs, alcohol, tobacco, how do we start that conversation as adults?
I tell the parents alike that when you sit down with your kids, just be honest with them. You know, you might have had some of the problems in your life growing up too, and it's everywhere. You know, tell them how much you care about them, you love them. You have to be honest with them and tell them about the realities of what's going to happen with drugs, where you're going to end up, what's going to happen to you. And I tell them that when I speak to them in schools, treatment centers, church youth groups. That's why I wrote the book the way I wrote it. Let them know everything that's going to happen to them in reality, because it's prison. And I try to deter them from that, you know, all my own experiences that I want them to see.
Yeah.
Well, Travis, what are some of the signs?
Some of the signs that I speak to them about is when nobody knows their kids better than the parents. When they're out all night, sleeping all day, the grades are dropping, they don't give you eye contact. Those are a lot of the signs there, because you know what your kids' schedule. They start hanging around different crowds and not doing what they're supposed to be doing. You know something's going on. And also, you know, medicine cabinets with the pills and stuff like that. That's one of the main things right now that's going on in schools and treatment centers.
So in addition to the illegal drugs, the prescription drugs.
Yes, it's prescription drugs is the main hold right now that's really having an effect on a lot of the kids, because, you know, I tell the parents too, always check your medicine cabinets. If you have an elderly person living in your house that's on pain pills or medication, to always go there first and check. And that's a lot of the signs.
How do we keep that conversation going? Because I imagine that, you know, I've had this experience as well, where you get into that conversation, and then it's like, you don't want it just, you know, just to die away. It's not a once in a lifetime thing. It's a conversation that has to continue to be really.
Yeah, you keep tabs on them. I've even, you know, when it comes down to them, not listening, and they're still, if they start getting in trouble, they're still getting in trouble and going down that same road. Drive them around to juvenile detention centers, let them see treatment centers, take them in there for themselves, get them firsthand experience of what it's like and where they're going to go. You have to be honest with your kid and tell them the realities of it. You can't sugarcoat it and make like it's not going to happen. This is where you're going to end up if you keep going down this road. And plus they OD and die. A lot of kids do that with the pills.
Well, what's interesting to me is that you said that you were an All-American basketball player,
Yes.
and a lot of parents feel like if they just keep their kids involved in everything, cheerleading, soccer, football, basketball, that will be a deterrent. And I'd imagine that it is a deterrent.
It is. It keeps them busy. You got to keep them busy.
Okay, but you still made that decision. So basically, it comes down to making positive choices.
Making the positive choices and making the right decisions in your life, because it happens to, like I said, it's everywhere. It happens to anyone. Look at my life. I had everything going for me, and it came down to one wrong decision, and the next thing you know, I'm dealing in bigger drugs and going down the wrong roads and never turning back, and ended up in prison.
Throughout that time, in looking back, obviously, I would imagine you believe that the Lord kind of protected you, preserved you, and kept you for a reason.
Yeah, if there's no doubt that's why I'm here today, because I wanted to take my own life after one of the darkest points of my life, and my faith is all I had, my belief is all I had to keep me going, and without that, I probably wouldn't be here now for sure, because that's all I had.
Yeah, and what kind of purpose or motivation has that given you?
I feel like I'm here for a reason, because I've near-death experiences. I was in the hospital and prison for 13 days. Was killed almost in a drug deal, thrown out of a plane from the cartels, and I'm here for a reason to get, and that's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Well, Travis, what do you think kids want their parents to know about this whole situation? Parents are extremely busy, they're working so many hours. What do you hear kids saying that they want parents to know? Their parents.
Give me an example.
Like, for instance, Mom, I need more attention from you, Dad.
You will see those signs when the kid starts opening up to you and telling you, because I tell a lot of kids when I speak to them to tell your parents what's going on around your friends in school, that you don't want to be around this crowd, you don't want to do this because you know what's going on, and talk to them. And I tell their parents, you have to love the kid. You can't yell at. First thing the kids do is when you start yelling at them, they tell me, kids from my own experience of talking to them, they tell me that when their parents start yelling at them, they are vindictive. They want to act out more and not even be around their parents. You got to set them down and talk to them that you love them and care about them.
Yeah. So there's a way to communicate in a positive way.
In a positive way. Because you start the yelling at. That's the first thing they tell me. They feel vengeful when their parents start yelling at them, and they want to act out even more. They don't want to have nothing to do with their parents.
Now you get to speak around the country, kind of messages out there, and work with different youth groups, secular as well as within the church and outside the church.
Yes.
What is some of the response you get to kids that hear your story for the first time?
They can relate to a lot of my real father beating my mother, the alcoholic, raging alcoholic. They can relate to all that, and when they read my book, they're inspired from my testimony, what they go through. And it's what gets me is a lot of the kids today, it's the first book they've ever even read cover to cover, and I'm amazed at that they never even read a book before, and opens their eyes to reading other books.
Well, how important is peer-to-peer at counseling, or just being empowering other youth to help their fellow peer? How important is that, or do you encourage that?
I encourage that. I encourage that to talk to people that's like a mentor to them. That's why I do a lot of what I do, because the main thing for kids is the bad peer pressure that gets them going down the wrong road. That's the main thing. But if you have good influences around them, coaches, etc., parents that talk to them and tell them, here's what's going to happen, here's what's going on, that's what I try to do to them.
And just as we finish up, Travis, what is it that you really hope to leave as your legacy, as your lasting mark here?
That I know that in my heart that my book and my belief and everything that I've done, that it's turned, right now, if I stop now, my book's already turned so many kids' lives around that have received their diplomas because of me, and the emails I receive from all over the country, that what my book has done for them, that's all I could hope for.
Wonderful.
And it's giving back to the kids and keeping them from going on the wrong road.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking time to be with us today. The book is The Westcoast Kid, My Redemption, and to connect with Travis Waters, you can go to thewestcoastkid.com, or you can go to harvest-tv.com. That's our website, as you know. Click on Show Info in the menu bar. You'll find an easy way to get back to his website and pick up a copy for yourself.